Okay, so it's a semi-nice day out here. It's in the upper 70s, so I figured I would go ahead and start up some of the air conditioners because I can get to them all at this point, which is very nice. Let me move this trimmer. If you're going to buy any new equipment, get an Echo. Of course, they don't make lawnmowers and stuff, but as far as weed whackers or leaf blowers or any of that, get an Echo. I think this is the second from the cheapest model they sold. The cheapest model is a curved shaft. This is the SRM 225. I need to do some cleaning on this thing, but I've had this for, I don't know, 3 years now. And that's about the longest I've had a new trimmer last. They normally end up having carburetor issues before that. And of course, carburetor issues are easy to fix, but I just got tired of dealing with the cheap shit. If you are going to buy cheap shit, get an old one. This is from 1997 and it still runs fine. Of course, I still got to put the carburetor back on it. I borrowed it to put it on a shitty leaf blower. Then the shitty leaf blower broke down, so I bought an Echo cardiogram. And yeah, these are great. And I'll tell you, this Echo here, I mean, you can feel it. You can feel that it's made well. It's like dense. It's not like hollow feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It runs well and it's more powerful. I have this over here. Let's see, where's my old blower? Here it is. This piece of crap. I bought this for like $5. Well, it's stuck in there. It's a Boland's. It's an MTD product, which are junky to begin with. This thing was heavier. It vibrated so much. The Echo doesn't vibrate hardly at all. This thing was also really heavy, but it just, this engine, I don't know what was wrong with it. I replaced the carburetor, and it did the same thing. It would run for about 15 minutes, and then it would start dying on you, and then you'd have to, it was just a pain in the ass. I think it was losing compression somehow. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Oh, I got a new cover on this thing, so it's not like sagging anymore, and like everything is dry now, so that's good. Oh, that's oil. Great. Do I have a rag or something? I might have to make part of this video go in and put it back on the computer, and then, oh yeah, I can't go in there. Do I have a rag in here somewhere? No. Oh, I see one. Okay, alright, we're good. I know that I'll end up getting my hands in that oil or something. So, I figure now would be a good time to clean that up. Just put this like that. So, this LG, this is the 220 volt unit that I used to have in my room. I can clean this thing up. I'd like to install this again. It's a heat unit. It does heating and cooling. I probably wouldn't put it back in the bedroom. I was thinking in the shed in there. It's a 12,000 BTU, which would be perfect. It would cool it and heat it. And it's 240 volt, which I've got 240 volt, or I've got the capability of installing one in there. I just got to get a new sleeve for this thing, because the sleeve's rotted out. This thing, of course, is really dirty, but I can clean it. It's fine. It works fine. I've got the front cover. Everything's here, is what I'm saying. This leaf blower is broken. It's got a broken impeller on it. And I don't know why I'm keeping it. Let's see, this is what I was looking for. My little extension cord that's rated for 5 amps. So we're going to run some air conditioners on it. And I'm going to start off at this end, over here. I'm going to start off with this LG unit. Here's the sleeve, or actually this is a GE, sorry. but it's made by LG. This is actually a pretty decent unit. It's a modern one. As far as modern units go, it's pretty decent though. 10,000 BTU. Well, it doesn't focus. 10,000 BTU, 9.4 amps, R22, 16 some odd ounces. The bearings in this are actually still good. Of course, it's got an LG compressor. For the capillary tubings, these things always are rubbing. I'm paranoid about this. Get some cheap weed whacker fuel line. They have different sizes. I think this is the largest one. And cut it down the center, and it fits perfectly on here. Keeps it from rubbing so it doesn't get an abrasion. This, of course, is a slide-out chassis. It's got one of these strange curved coils. I don't know if I ever actually made a video on this one. Anyway, might have to come back to this one because the compressor it's as low as it goes. The buttons on this don't really work. You have to use the remote. This display looks like this is 60. It's just kind of screwy. For some reason they have the capacitor sitting right here. I will say for these LG units, I'm sorry about the wind noise, I'm going to put it right here. I will say that for these LG units, they don't use that much styrofoam. They use hard plastic, which I'd rather see metal, but this is acceptable. I honestly don't think these units are too terrible. Well, I'm not going to stand around and wait for this compressor to click on, so if it doesn't, you're just not going to see it. Okay. We're just not going to see this one run. Let's see, how about this Frigidaire? This is a WCI made Frigidaire. I don't know how well you can see that or not. The model is FAC 052G7A3. It's a 5050 BTU unit. I quite like these little WCI units. They're not the most substantial things in the world, but they perform pretty well for what they are, and they're very quiet. I don't know if you can see in there, but they use a strange fan motor. It's kind of like big and flat. It's made by Macmillan. It looks just like a Lakewood Macmillan type box fan motor. I believe the compressor's over here. Let's go ahead and go to high cool. Unfortunately, this one and the one below it have Tecumseh, or not Tecumseh, they don't have the Tecumseh compressors. They have Macmillan, shit, I can't even talk, LG compressors. Might be branded as Gold Star, but they're LGs. This one actually gets cool pretty quickly. This one's not in bad shape. It runs pretty good. I don't really have a use for these little tiny units though. I don't have a thermal, or the, what do you call that thing? There's the back of that one. I don't have a temperature gun. It broke. But it's cold. It's not ice cold, but it's cold. It'll get there. This is on high cool. They move a pretty good amount of air. These are very quiet units. Great for bedrooms or something where you don't want a lot of noise. I mean, it's not the most powerful fan, but I mean, I can stand back here. I can feel it. We'll go ahead and fire the one underneath it on, which is about the same as this one. This is a Gibson branded one. but it's pretty much the same unit. 5050 BTU, refrigerant 22, 9 ounces. Gibson Appliances, one of the white consolidated industries. Let's go ahead and turn this one on. That compressor is definitely a little bit more angry than this one is. This unit has a piercing valve on it, and I believe I slightly overcharged it, but that's okay, because if it has a leak, then probably by the time I want to use it somewhere, well, I don't think it has, I don't know, it's got to have a leak if it were low, right? But it wasn't like extremely low. It's still cooled, and it's cooling right now, and it's almost been, oh, it's been at least 2 years since I recharged it. Unfortunately, the grill broke on here. I have to glue that or something. I had this unit loaned to somebody. That's why I have writing all over it. And I don't know how the hell the grill got snapped into like that. I don't really appreciate it, but whatever. It still works just fine. It cools pretty well. Anyway, what I was saying, it has a bullet valve piercing thing on there. I wasn't gonna cut and solder a port in there and all that for a unit like this, and I sucked a bit of the refrigerant out of that air temp, the one with the dying Rotorix compressor, because that unit, it got so incredibly hot. It was missing a fan shroud. It was on its way out, so I figured I'd use that before the compressor fried itself, because if the compressor fries itself, then the refrigerant really isn't any good. Alright, let's go ahead. I gotta move this down here. We'll go ahead and fire up this, what is this one? This is the Westinghouse. This is I like this unit. This one's actually really heavy built. It's got a grate on the back of it. I can't show it on camera. Sorry, it's a white Westinghouse, because just like Frigidaire and Gibson, it is one of the white consolidated industries. If I feel really special, I might try to find some sort of voice effect to add on top of there. Ooh, there's a spitting spider. So where is he? Right there. Can you see him? Those are cool. They like spit acidic goo. They spit acidic goo on whatever they're trying to eat, and it like dissolves them, and then they can just drink it. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this one on. This one actually has a Matsushita rotary, I believe. I believe the compressor's over here. And it is not kicking on. I'm going to give it a second. Maybe the thermostat will heat up. This one runs really well. I really like this unit. This, I mean, the fan in this thing's really quiet, and it moves a lot of air. Plus, it looks cool. I love this style grill. I think this has got to be one of my favorite style grills out of all of these units. It's a tie between this one and probably like that one. Although I really like my Amana that I have inside. I'll show that at the end of the video, although it's been running all day. It's got the gold grill. I would... Well, let me see. Can I pull I'll pull the front off of here and see if I can heat up this this thermostat here with my hand. See if the compressor will kick on. I removed this crap. This was some silver tape I put in there because there was like some foam here that was disintegrating, but all this tape has been doing every time I try to run this is rattling. So, I mean, if I can redo it. Yep, there goes the compressor. inside coil on this thing is in really good shape. It has no rust or anything. But if you've seen the video on this unit, you know, unfortunately, somebody tried to clean the coils, and they used some, I don't know why I'm talking so loud. They tried to clean the coil, and they used some sort of, this is all I can think. They used some sort of coil cleaner, like New Bright or something. Must have been corrosive, and they didn't rinse it good, because the condenser coil, on the whole inside half of the condenser coil, the aluminum fins are like gone. It's really unfortunate. I haven't run this unit much. It seems to cool okay and not run with like extremely high head pressure or anything, but I can't imagine that helps it at all. So I mean, it's a shame that that is the case, because this thing is in like mint condition otherwise. But I ran it on some pretty hot days. I didn't have it installed anywhere. The only reason I don't have this installed is because it's too wide to fit in my window. But it runs really well, and it's so quiet. It doesn't rattle, and it moves a lot of air. Like, I don't know how good this camera is on picking up wind noise, but that moves a lot of air. See if you can hear the compressor. I guess you can. That sound would... it's already built pressure. You would think that sound generally indicates that it's low or out, but I mean, it was blowing cold. There was no doubt on that. It does it pretty quickly, and after a while it quits making that noise. I think that's just because it's never ran. Alright, this is already plugged in. This is in a Manna air conditioner, 6,000 BTU. It uses R410A. And this is one where the inside half looks really nice and clean, but the outside half, if you can see it, is rusted out. This came from a house, beach house, at Topsail Island, North Carolina, and as with everything on the beach, it's incredibly rusty, but it's still holding its charge. For a small unit, it's really noisy right now. It's got a lot of weight on top of it. But I had it installed last season, and it's really not that noisy. And this thing actually performs really well. I was surprised that for a modern unit with R410A, how well this thing performs. And it moves a lot of air too. That's the thing. This thing moves a lot of air for a small unit like this. And these vents, I like the vents are directional. Normally a lot of smaller modern units, you can't really direction the vents. They're either, I mean, you can move them side to side, but they're just kind of facing down, up, like forward all the time. Like, well, like this. You move them side to side, but not up and down. And yeah, it's still got a charge on. It's been a while since I've run it. It's blowing cold right now. It does have the beeping, but it's not obnoxious beeping. Yeah, this thing's blowing ice cold right now. This is actually really good for an R410A unit. It's a shame it's so rusty, because I really wouldn't trust it enough to install it anywhere. I mean, maybe if it were like, I mean, it's a small unit. If it were on somewhere, you know, I just pop it in the window, that's fine. But I mean, I don't really have anywhere like that. And I just, with the amount of rust on the compressor, around the refrigerant lines on the compressor or something, it's just a ticking time bomb until it starts leaking. Speaking of leaking, we have this thing that I recharged a while ago, and I recharged this thing, I don't know, last season, some point. It's completely lost all of that. There's no charge left in this unit, just like when I got it. It's the only reason it's still here is because I haven't picked up the unit that's sitting on top of it to move it out of the way. Well, Compressor doesn't restart instantly. It still has a tiny bit of charge apparently, but not enough. Now here's one of my favorites. This is the Emerson Quiet Cool. I don't know of the dating on this unit. The filter's destroyed. This one looks kind of rough because it's dirty right now. But I promise you this unit will clean up nicely if I ever went to install it somewhere. It's got this nice, I think this is aluminum. And then it's got that, and it's got an EQK tag on it. Unfortunately, the EQK tag on here is pretty destroyed. I wish it were in better shape. I don't see any information sticker on here. Let me see if I can pull the cover off. Yeah. Huh, I don't see... Oh, here it is. So, this unit had a bit of an issue when I got it down here. Somebody had taken like a pee pad for a cat and put it here because it was like leaking inside or something. So unfortunately the bottom row of these fins is a bit not in the best shape. But other than that, it's pretty decent. Here's the information. It's a 5,000 BTU. I really don't have anywhere to use a 5,000 BTU or else I would use this unit. It's just too small to do my room without... I have so much crap in there. Model is 5GJ7W. Oh, you can actually read that. That's interesting. Refrigerant 22. High side 300. It's got an EER of 7. I was looking for something that could maybe date this unit, but I don't see it. Compressor's over here. It is a nice Tecumseh AE reciprocating compressor. Stick the cover back on. I only have 3 minutes left on this camera, so I'm going to have to take it in the house and upload this stuff onto the computer and then come back out. It's got the auto fan switch. Let's go ahead and start this up on Quiet Cool. And there's the compressor over here. Yes, this is a Tecumseh AE recip. That's a smooth running compressor right there. And this is on Quiet Cool. And I don't know, Quiet Cool is quiet, but I just don't see this moving enough air to actually do anything. We gotta put it on super. And on super it's about a normal noise level. The only complaint I have about this unit, I like them to blow slightly upward because you don't want it coming out straight because they'll go back in there and kick the thermostat off. But this one like blows up. Like I'm standing right here in front of it, I can't feel a thing. I have to put my hand up here to feel anything, which I don't know, I'm not a big fan of that. But as always with a recip, it's built head pressure incredibly quickly and it's running nice and cold. And you can hear how smooth that Tecumseh AE sounds compared to any sort of rotary compressor. It just sounds great. I just wish I had... I never find, like, most of the units I find, like these WCI units, I would use those. I would use this. I would use... I wouldn't use that. But most of the units I find are either huge, like this 12,000 BTU, or too big to fit in the window, like those, or too small, like this one. I don't find any in the range that I need, which is like the 8 to 10,000 BTU range. Anyway, I've got 46 seconds left. So we're going to take this camera inside, and I'm going to... That quit spinning mighty quickly. It probably needs oil. I'm going to take this card inside, I'm going to empty it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I turned this one on, just left it on while I was emptying that card out, and as you can see, it's It has a little bit of refrigerant left in it. The suction line, I think this is the suction line. I can't, let's see. No, it wouldn't be. Because that would be hot. No. Yeah, anyway. The two lines coming into the condenser here, right where they first come in, are, none of these are cold. You can hear it making like little low refrigerant sounds, and these two have got a little bit of, I mean, they're frosty, and then none of the other ones are cold, so that's a sure sign that this thing is definitely low. So unfortunately, this unit's leaking pretty badly. This is the Gold Star, or as this one says, the Hampton Bay. So it holds a bit of pressure. Okay, we just ran that one. So now we've got the Whirlpool, the designer style. Let's see, is this plugged in? Yes. So this is a pretty decent unit. This is a, I think it's 11,000 some odd BTU. The pan in this one, as you can see, is actually still in good shape as well. This shroud around the fan is pretty rusted out at the bottom, but the rest of it's actually pretty good. And that shroud around the fan really doesn't do much, so that's all right. This is a, let's see, can I pull this front off? No, it's got screws in it. This is a slide-out chassis, and I think it's 11,600 BTU. So basically 12,000. This one's still got the little Malarco snarkulator. What are these things called? I don't even know if there is an official name. They're stuck. I don't know if there is an official name for these or not, but it still has them. Yeah, this is a very large unit. This has one of those switches with the plastic. I'm not going to pull it off. It's got a plastic shaft, and the one that was in here was pretty disintegrated, and the plastic thing snapped off when you tried to turn it because it was so jammed up. So I had to get a new switch, and I found a new one that had, it was the same exact part number, it had the same number of terminals and everything, so you would think it would fit, but it really didn't, because you can see we're off, fan, quiet, cool, medium cool, max cool. Well, that was. Well, the new one, this is off, that's medium cool, that's high cool, that's low cool, and that's fan only. It works, it just doesn't line up, but that's okay. This grill design is kind of interesting because it comes out here and here. You can move these up and down, although not too great, and you can move them side to side. Unfortunately, this one's busted, so it doesn't move side to side. You can still move it up and down, but it's got a little tab in there that's broken. I can put a screw through there, or you can just put a piece of tape on there. But actually, when you put it in a window, it wouldn't have uneven stress on it. It might just sit in there. This, I think, is another one. Yeah, these damn foam filters. I could cut little squares of foam and glue them in there, but there's no point if I'm not currently using this. This one also needs to be cleaned, but it runs pretty well. This is from 1991, I think. This is fan only. And the fan on this one isn't incredibly loud. It moves a good amount of air, on that side at least. It comes out of the bottom here, but not really the top. And then it comes out of the top here, but not really the bottom. It's a strange design. It works, but it's not the most... It's sort of like a form over function type thing. It does work, but I think a standard one works better. Let's go ahead and cut this to off. Was my phone ringing? No. We'll cut this to the off. And we will go, I think the compressor's over here, medium cool, since that's first. What you're hearing is this. I wish there was a way to keep that from rattling, but not really. But if it were, it's not It's just that. And yeah, it blows cold. Does this one have a screen over the condenser? I don't think it does. No. This one is also a Matsushita rotary. I think most of these are Matsushita rotaries. They're very good compressors. You can hear it's running pretty smoothly. It's got some information up here. It's almost gone though. Looks like it came with a 5-year warranty. That's great. I think that's a bit expired. It's blowing cold. I can see where this design would be good though, because God, that rattling's annoying. I can see where this design would be good if you had it like in the middle of a living room or something. It could blow to each side if it were like in the middle of the room, you know, like not on one side or the other. But, you know, it's okay. There are certain rooms that this would work in. Okay. This unit's gotten rather dirty since I quote-unquote restored it. This, of course, is the Whirlpool. This is a Philco noiseless from the early 60s. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but this thing is a really overbuilt, heavy unit. It runs really well. It's got a Tecumseh pancake in it. Let's go ahead and fire this one up. Make sure this is off. Alright, let's go ahead and cut this to, let's see, I guess we'll start with, so I'm going to cut the compressor off. Here's low fan, and you can see it's got this big blower wheel, and the air, instead of sucking through the evaporator and blowing out, it goes out and then goes through the evaporator. Let's cut it on low fan first. This moves a good amount of air too. Here's high fan. This unit is 6,800 BTU, so basically 7,000. These also suck air over the coil this way, the condenser, and then blow it out the side, which is interesting. Alright, I'm going to cut it on in between speeds on cooling. In between fan speeds. And I'm going to get you as far over here as I can, but it's going to be hard. I'm going to cut the compressor on. Very quiet compressor. It's a Tecumseh pancake, which of course is a reciprocating compressor, I think. This unit takes longer to get cold than I would expect one of these to. But then again, I've never played with these, but everyone acts like they're, you know, they get cold instantly, and rotaries take so long. It doesn't seem like it. It's cooling down. It's not ice cold yet. When you feel this coil, it feels cold though, compared to the new ones. It's getting there now. Okay, at this point I would say it's about as cold as it gets, which is actually pretty damn cold. This unit does perform really well. It just takes a while to get cold. I mean, it's not an abnormal amount of time, but I'm going to set you down for a second. Or I'm just going to throw you under there. It's not an abnormal amount of time, it's just that the way all of these vintage air conditioner people make it sound, they make it sound like these things, these old reciprocating compressors, they make it sound like these things get cold like instantly. not really. I don't think it's low, because if it were low, it wouldn't perform as well as it does. I mean, this thing, like right now, it's cold and it stays cold. It doesn't freeze up, and this thing will produce an absolute lake underneath it if you leave it running for a while. It's got these cool things. You can angle these, and these actually, despite how small they look, this thing moves a lot of air. You can hear it's really quiet. The modern units are so damn loud. It's really quiet. You can blow, you can pretty much go in any direction you want to. That way, one this way, one that way, one down, one up, one sideways, one down. The only way it doesn't go is directly forward. Well, actually, that's a lie. If you turn them one this way and the other that way so that they're facing each other, it'll blow directly forward. And if you want it to blow forward but slightly upward, you can have them sort of like this, facing each other, and it's coming right about here and blowing forward. So, yeah, you can pretty much have this thing go in any direction you want it to. I'm being very careful with this because this is broken here, and I don't want to break this anymore. In fact, one of the, yeah, this one's broken too. I got it sort of pushed in there. I got to do something about that. I don't want that to break any worse. It's got this nice Philco logo here. I need to clean it up. It's dirty because this thing used to leak, and water used to hit this, and I did have them on the ground, but I put them on these, which has really helped a lot. Yeah, this runs so great. It's just so heavy duty for such a small unit. There is absolutely nothing made like this today. Absolutely nothing. I wish I had a place to use this. It's just so wide it doesn't fit in any of the windows. Anyway, there's that one. You can hear that refrigerant flowing in there. Yeah, really, after over 60 years, all this unit needed when I got it was a new set of run caps. Technically, only the one for the compressor. The one for the fan was still working. But, you know, it still ran. The compressor didn't, but the fan did. So, a new run cap, which is like, I don't know, $10, and this thing would have ran great. Of course, I did more than that. I put 2 new run caps in it. I coated the pan so that it doesn't rust or any of that. I added drain holes. You can see I made a whole set of videos on sort of, not really restoring, but sort of restoring this. Alright. Now we've got this Kenmore. This is a 6,000 BTU Kenmore unit. It's seen better days. It does run and it cools just fine. I had to recharge this one. Oh, it's been about 5 years now. Probably. Maybe not that much. If I could get this to turn around, that would be nice. It's got itself wedged in the pallet here. It was used for about 2 years after I recharged this unit, partially recharged it. So it's got a mix of 2 different refrigerants. And I put R134A in this unit because that's what I had, and it was not working, and it was going to the dump if I didn't fix it. So I figured, you know, why not make an experiment out of it? So I put R134A in it, and then I loaned it to somebody who used it. Technically cooled their whole house with this in a little small carry cool, and it never had a problem. It's still working now. The compressor doesn't sound the happiest, but it didn't sound the happiest when I got it, and it doesn't sound any worse than when I got it, so I don't know. The R134A seems to be working just fine. I have the door for this somewhere. I just wish I had a better grill. Let's go ahead and turn this on high cool. You can hear the compressor It doesn't sound great, but it doesn't sound horrible. I mean, it sounds like a worn-out Matsushita rotary, but it doesn't sound like any sort of atrocious, horrible sounds. And it's... This you gotta have like some sort of cardboard or something here, because it recirculates the air so badly. But yeah, it works. It's working. It's not quite cold yet. The airflow out of this thing is atrocious because it's got no, I don't know, some of it comes out here and blows way down there. It's going up here. It's atrocious. But it is getting cold. You can hear the compressor. Doesn't sound absolutely horrible. Just sounds like a heavily used Matsushita rotary. So yeah, it's blowing cold. So really, I don't know, I'm fine with it. So, yeah, that actually runs pretty good for having the complete wrong refrigerant in it. That one I tried to do, but it didn't work out because, well, it's leaking too fast. I'm not going to fire up the Friedrich because I can't get to it right now. I think I've showed this since I painted this badge in the case. I painted this, you can't even tell, it's so dirty now. Friedrich. It's got the Samsung compressor in there. This is a really beefy coil. I think this thing's like 6,800 BTU or something. Basically an 8, but this is a pretty beefy coil for that size. This unit uses 410A. I'm not a big fan of 410A. I think R22 is a much better unit. And the coil on this is a little bit rotted too on the bottom part. You can sort of see it. Yeah. I really need to take this thing out of the sleeve and clean it this year. I said I was going to last year, but I didn't. But it runs alright. Look at that, we're about to fill up another SD card here, so I'm going to go up here, we're going to look at the Amana here, and then we'll call that good. I have my Whirlpool, the one with the weird clicking compressor. It's inside, it's not installed, but we're not going to be running that one today, or the Crosley. So if you wanted to see the Whirlpool or the Crosley, well, I apologize, but that's not going to be in this video. There's the Amana. And if you remember the video on this thing, it's in absolutely pristine condition. You can see it's moving those trees there. In the course of about 2 days, it's filled this whole bucket of condensate. I got a drain hole added right there, which is where the condensate comes from the evaporator out here, so it doesn't even get back there. And of course I have a couple drilled in the corners just in case it does fill up with rainwater. This machine has a Toshiba compressor. I'm not too familiar with Toshiba compressors. I've never dealt with one. I can't see if they're really good or not. This one seems to run really well. And I mean, it's a vintage unit. I'm sure it's a good compressor. They didn't use shitty compressors back in the day. But, you know, shitty compressors. They didn't use those back in the day. But, you know, it is such a low hour unit. I could be incredibly wrong and it craps out in a year, but I really don't think so. Here's the Crosley. I was going to use this one, but It's still got that weird leaking inside water issue. And then this also is extremely loud. Like, let me go ahead. I'm going to turn it on. I'm not going to turn the compressor on, obviously, because it's on its back. But I got to clean this thing out again and figure out why it's leaking water inside. Hear how loud that fan is? I mean, it moves an okay amount of air, but the fan in this unit is just too loud. It's got a metal, it's not a blower wheel. It's like got flat paddles on it. And I think that's why it's so loud. If I could find maybe a standard blower wheel to put in this unit, I think it would be better. It's not the condenser fan, it's the... Oh, damn deer. It's not the condenser fan, it's the fan on the inside. It's just too loud. So I need to find something for that. My original idea was when that Whirlpool with the weird clicking compressor died, I'd take the fan out of that because it's pretty much the same unit, just a more modern version, and the fan is much quieter, but I just don't think that thing's gonna die. Speaking of that, there it is. Let me cut the lights on. Okay. Cut that off. So this unit wasn't really keeping up. I had this filter in it. Yes, I know it's dirty, but this stuff is too thick. It's better at filtering than the foam, but really if you're gonna run these things, just use the cheap foam stuff. It's a lot. You get much better airflow. This shit, use this. You can see this unit's got nice condensate all over the coils. I mean, this thing has absolutely no rust in it. This thing is in pristine condition. This is model 7P2MA, 6.7 amps, and it's 6,650 BTU. Damn it. There we go. I love the grill on this unit. It's not wood grain, it's like, it's gold. It's got this nice gold trim around here. These push button controls. Yeah, that's a really smooth rotary. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to show. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.